Let's graph the system of linear inequalities. We have our two inequalities, and we start by putting them into slope-intercept form. We can do that by subtracting 2x from both sides on this inequality, and we'll get y is greater than or equal to negative 2x minus 4. Great. Now we're looking at our second inequality. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and identify our m and our b. Our m is equal to negative 2, the coefficient in front of the x, and our b is equal to negative 4, the constant sitting on the right side of the inequality. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and graph it now? We go to negative 4 on the y-axis, is down to here. That's our first point. Then we have a slope of negative 2, positive 1. Right? And so it's hard to graph on this graph, so instead I'm going to make it equal to positive 2 over negative 1, right? Which is still negative 2. Right? It just makes it easier for me to graph. So I'm going to go up 2, and I'm going to move to the left 1. My rise is negative 1, up 2, left 1, like that. Okay. Now that I have my 3 dots, I can go ahead and draw my line, and this will be a solid line because our inequality is greater than or equal to. So I'm going to draw a solid line here with my arrows. I'm going to use 0, 0 as my test point. I'm going to do 0, 0 as my test point. And what do I get when I input 0, 0 in here? 0 for x and 0 for y. I get 0 is greater than or equal to negative 4. Right? Is this true? Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 4? Yes, it is true. 0 is greater than negative 4. So I'm going to shade the side that includes the test point 0, 0. Now let's go ahead and try the second one here. We first start by putting it into slope-intercept form by subtracting the x from both sides of the inequality. And we'll get negative 2y is less than negative x plus 4. We're going to divide by negative 2. And we'll get y is greater than. The inequality needs to flip since we're dividing by a negative number. We have negative 1 divided by negative 2 is positive 1 over 2 times x. And then we have positive 4 divided by negative 2. That's negative 2. Alright, so from here we need to identify our m and our b. Our m is the coefficient in front of the x. It's 1 over 2. And our b is negative 2. Let's go ahead and graph it. We start here, we go to negative 2, and that's going to be our first point. Our slope is 1 over 2, so we rise 1, we run 2. We rise 1, we run 2. Come over to here. Right. Now that we have our 3 points, we can go ahead and draw our line. If we get lined up here, draw our line like so. Like so. And it is going to be a line. It's actually not going to be a line. It's going to be a dotted line. So my mistake. And again, I'm going to go ahead and signify dotted line with these marks along the line. And if I had an eraser, I would erase so that I could show that this is a dotted line. So now we want to shade, and our test point, let's go ahead and use 0, 0. And let's substitute it into this inequality here. Right? 0 for x, 0 for y. And we're going to get 0 is greater than 1/2 times 0 minus 2. And if we go ahead and multiply out, we'll get 0 is greater than 0 minus 2, or 0 is greater than negative 2. Is that a true statement? Is 0 a bigger number than negative 2? Yes, it is. Since it is, we are going to shade the side that includes the test point of 0, 0. That is namely this side here. And what is our solution? Our solution is where the graphs overlap, right? And say they overlap right here in this quadrant. And all of that is our solution to the two inequalities.